I'd have like 15 cans of pop a night.
For some people it's wine, it's chips, but for me it's chocolate.
Losing weight, gaining it back and losing weight. I was just fed up with that.
I don't have a single picture with my daughter that first year. That's something I really regret.
They each have lost over 50 pounds. So very inspiring episode coming up.
Technically had no time, but it's amazing when you are motivated where you find the time.
Anytime I say that on social media, I get so much backlash.
But we know mum guilt is obviously a thing. How are you feeling about that? Interested to see how this is going to go.
Yeah.
We can find so many excuses or reasons not to.
You have to get uncomfortable. You have to do things that you don't necessarily want to do.
Revealing some things I didn't think I would reveal today.
This stress chocolate thing is real. The doctors just made me cry. I ate 4 Kit Kats after that.
Really just remind me, Stacey, of the fact that you've lost 50 pounds.
Should probably talk about it more. If I could just give someone one tip if they're starting on a weight loss journey, it would be...
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Stacey.
And this is the Body Smart Podcast.
We are women's weight loss experts on a mission to empower you to feel permanently in control of your weight and your health. And on that note, today we are sharing our best bits from our amazing guests over the past couple of years who each have lost over 50 pounds. So they have truly done that. They've got control of their health. They've tackled a huge weight loss goal and they have been successful. So very inspiring episode coming up.
Yeah, really inspiring. And anyone who's obviously not working in pounds, 50 pounds is 22.6 kilos. So a significant amount of weight. And I can see them quite daunting sometimes if that's you're like, oh, I've got 50 pounds to lose or 22 kilos. But a lot of these guests that we're going to be going through in today's episode really show you how you can start taking the small incremental steps that can lead to big change over time.
Yeah, and if you are starting a weight loss journey or even just thinking about it, you might not even have an amount in your head, like an actual number. It's really common that we get people kind of talking to us on that first call and saying, I just want to get to a healthy weight. And they don't necessarily know what that means in terms of like how many pounds they have to lose. So if you're thinking, well, I know I need to lose quite a bit, but I don't know if it's 50 pounds, these tips are definitely still going to apply. So we're going to start with Laura. Laura is one of our amazing Body Smart graduates. And the reason I wanted to start with her as well is she was in the same boat where she didn't actually really know what her goal was when she started. Or she did have a number in her mind, but actually she didn't want to even tell her coach what that number was because she tried and she had failed so many times to get there that admitting it to someone else and then failing again just felt like a horrible idea. So we're going to have a little clip from Laura to explain how that self-sabotage and like failure mindset really affected her journey. And then we'll see what she did about it.
You didn't have a goal explicitly
Oh,
voiced.
yeah. So that was my skepticism. I had a number in my head, and it was where I was 10 years ago. The part of me that wasn't sure this was going to happen did not want to be disappointed if I didn't make that number. So I just said, I just want to be healthy. To see how far I can take it.
Oh, but we get that. We'll have a lot of people who will say, you know, I only want to lose 10 pounds. Or I just want to be more toned. I want to be more healthy. And I think if you've had that lifetime battle of the scales and your weight and the yo, it's almost like you get it. Like I probably would do the same. You're protecting yourself. I'm not going to set myself up for failure again and tell someone a number that I haven't been able to achieve. I'm just going to use a different word.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think my mindset of like, well, how much can I lose with menopause? And, you know, like I wasn't even sure if it was even possible.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll be happy with whatever I can get.
But you did get to that
and past
number in your head.
Yeah. I had a number in my head. And what was interesting when we were approaching that number, and I hadn't yet to tell Hannah that that was the number in my head, I did have this like plateau. And normally I was doing pretty steady, but then it just like hung there for a while. And I realized, I think it's that belief. Again, my mind did not believe I could go past it. And then I finally told Hannah, I said, we're at where I wanted to be. And I find it really interesting that it has stopped. And I think it's because I don't believe I can go beyond this.
Were you even sabotaging yourself a little bit?
Yeah, that was the weird thing.
Consciously.
Not consciously,
Yeah.
yeah. I think my brain was just like, and this is as far as you can go. And then Hannah was like, all right, okay. And so we talked through it. And I think even just naming it and putting it out there and saying it, we both were like, all right, so it's a belief thing. So what if I believe that I can go further? And then I lost like 10 pounds past that.
Amazing.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
It shows you just how powerful the mind is. You know what I mean? And we've said about you having the trifecta of menopause and hypothyroidism, PCOS. Like, if you have a belief that those things are going to stop you from losing weight, like, you won't lose weight. You know what I mean? Like, that will be your reality.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, that weight, and there's so many other things that we believe to be true, and you just hit the wall every time. But it is difficult. I find, like, at least my experience has been, and it'd be great if you could share on your side, the best way for beliefs to change is for you to start getting evidence that says otherwise. So, like, hey, carbs are really bad for me. Hey, I'm eating carbs and losing weight and feel great. Yeah. So, like, it's almost like the evidence changes your beliefs,
right?
But you've got to have the courage to, like, step into that fear and that uncomfortableness.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like, was it Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can do it or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
You know. So every time I would get to that place where that mindset, I realized my mindset was what was in the way. It was like, all right, let's just step out of this comfort zone and let's try to believe. Yeah.
Which again, it sounds so easy to say, but not so easy to actually do it. So if there's somebody listening that, I don't know, maybe they've got PCOS or they've got that, like, set point weight belief, what would your practical advice be to that person? Like, how do they actually push themselves past that?
I think one, I would imagine my future self encouraging me. Like, my future self is already there. And what would I say to myself today? And so, like, to be your best cheerleader and advocate. But also, you're not always going to feel like doing the thing that you need to do. So there was a lot of things I did scared, or I did frustrated, or I did angry, but I still did it because, like I said, I just trusted the process, and I'm like, I'm just going to submit to what Hannah's telling me to do and to what I know I should be doing, and let the evidence prove itself that it's possible.
Actually, Laura went 10 pounds further than that plateau where her beliefs seem to stop her progress, which is quite incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It shows you the power of beliefs as well. And I think that a lot of beliefs keep people stuck for years and decades, especially if you've got, as I said, the evidence that says I can't do this. And that's why, really, as Laura said, taking those steps forward, regardless of, you know, not feeling like it or being scared or not motivated, taking a step into the unknown and just trusting the process can be so powerful.
I think that's a really great thing to keep in mind at the beginning of this journey as well, because particularly if you've got a big goal, it can feel like, you know, if you're in Laura's boat, you've tried 100 times, it's never worked before. Why would this time be different? All of these thoughts can be going around in your head. But actually, if you just do the thing, something's going to happen. So let's go on with that really positive mindset. It's not just about the belief that you can do it that holds people back, that we hear so often. One of the beliefs that stop people even starting a weight loss journey is that they don't have the time to do the exercise, to plan the food, to make the food. It is a massive barrier for a lot of people from getting healthy.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised at just how much you can get done with very little time when you create focus on the right areas of parts of your health and fitness.
And a great example of that is our very own coach Anna, who was on the podcast in 2024 to share how she lost over 50 pounds herself. And she is a mum. She has the same struggles as a lot of our clients. So let's hear how she actually finds the time as a busy working mum to do just that.
I'm not afraid to, take time, even if it means like, okay, you're going to have to go to after school club today, but that means I can get a workout in, or I can finish my work so that I can be there for dinner, things like that. Definitely leaning into support systems is a big one. Asking for help when I need it. And I just prioritizing my time. I might need to get up one day before she gets up from school. So I might need to get up and start work and do a work block. So then I can take her to school and then go for a run and then come back to work, but I'm not missing out on my work time, stuff like that.
I definitely use a lot of the same kind of tricks. And I think it's really important to normalize you shouldn't feel guilty for booking time in for you to do a workout, because there's another great quote from This Woman Lifts that we shared a while ago, where it's like, don't you feel guilty for taking time out to do your workout and not be with your kids? And she's like, no, because I'm such a CUNT to them when I haven't had a workout.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And I just think I'm the same. So Nate goes to nursery at 8, 3 days a week, so that I can get my workout in before I start work. And I did feel really guilty about that for a while. And then I was like, actually, do you know what? It's like an extra hour and a half. Like,
Yeah.
With that, like, it's that, like, mum guilt is obviously just a consistent thing that you see with all mums, you know, in terms of, like, choices that are being made. That's definitely a part. Do you think, this is like quite, I'm just making an observation. Do you think sometimes that's also used as an excuse? Like, it's easier to say, hey, I haven't got time, I have to go and get the kids, when there might be other viable options of, like, maybe there is an after school club, or maybe you could ask your partner, or maybe there are other support systems, but sometimes saying that you haven't got the time can actually be masked to some degree as an excuse not to make the effort to get that walk in, prioritize a bit of you time, get some training in.
I would actually also say it comes down to feeling uncomfortable prioritizing yourself.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of clients who would feel like it was putting their mum out to ask them to come round to look after the child so they could work out. And think that wasn't a justifiable enough reason to ask for their mum's time, because they don't see themselves as a high enough priority.
So I know, like, because Steph has, like, really big, like, people-pleasing tendencies, and we'll put everyone else before herself. I know if we ever had kids, she would probably never ask, but, like, I'm aware enough of her that I would actually try and make her have that time, even though I don't think she would ask. I could encourage that, but she just wouldn't. She probably would just suffer. To be like, you sort yourself out, I'll sort the kids out, you know. And I see that in, like, a lot of other women who have got, like, really big people-pleasing tendencies, and it is more the case in women, I would say.
I think that's really helpful, though, because Reese was really good at that. He would just be like, just go for a run, just go, and not even have an argument with me about, like, he would just push me out the door because I would try and argue back. Or be like, oh, I've got to do this. Or he's like, just go. And I think mostly because he was like, you'll be nicer to me when you come home. But if you've got a supportive partner, and I mean, you raised it as well, Anna, it does make the world of difference, but not everyone's got that.
No.
So it is hard if you're feeling like, I know I need to find time for myself, but I don't have that help. What do you do with clients in that situation?
I think it is like, you know, again, or what can you do and maybe involve your children as well?
Yes.
That's what I do. So things that you can do together, whether it be walks, runs, stuff at home in the living room, especially if they have really little kids, like Steps with Rick. You know, we love that here at Body Smart.
Yes.
And kids love it. They love to, like, dance around. Like, what can you do with, it's just meeting you where you're at, and, like, what you have to work with. I do realize, like, not everybody has safe places to go out for walks, or the time, or have to work multiple jobs or things like that. But there's always something, and something will always be better than doing nothing.
Yeah, so now you're going to be a daddy, Jamie.
Yeah, it's God.
So
coming up
this
soon.
is going to be like a whole new element to your, like, finding time, because you are busy guy already.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how this is going to go as you add another responsibility onto that list. How are you feeling about the whole, like, balancing time, the changes that are coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like best laid plans can go out the window, especially with something as life-changing as having a kid. But, me and Steph have had really open and honest conversations around, like, the roles that we're going to play and how we're going to navigate this best. But, we're also really aware how much that's probably going to have to change and be adaptable to it. So, yeah, I think that's, probably doing business and building a team has probably prepped me the most, because it has to make you very resilient. And he said, your business is like your baby, because if your baby's ever sick, you can't think about anything else other than the baby being sick. But if your business is sick or not working, you can't think about anything else other than the business. So yeah, I'd like to think I'm quite prepared for it. But ask me in 6 months, Stacey, that might change. Yeah.
I think the good thing is, though, like Anna was saying in that clip there, if you can, like, have a support system, you can make those little windows, you can move things around, then you can always find time to do something, and it doesn't have to be an hour's workout. Like, something genuinely is better than nothing. And I know when I got back to exercise after Nate, it was literally like 15-20 minute workouts at a time, which completely changed what I thought I had to do. And I was probably in the best shape I've ever been when he was about 18 months old, because it was the consistency.
Yeah, you were ripped. Every time you would come down to the podcast, I'd just see your abs popping when you do some hangs or something. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's going to be a big shift for Steph as well. You know, she does CrossFit. It's very intense workouts and structured. And, you know, that might be something that's possibly going to have to change if she can't find, you know, the time to drive to CrossFit, get back, you know, everything else that goes with. So it's going to look different. But I think having that open mindset for just looking for the opportunities is just going to be key, you know, over the sort of next 12 to 24 months.
And so, on a similar note of just like finding those little opportunities, starting small, not feeling like you have to do it all at once, our next guest is Elise. She actually lost 87 pounds, which is insane. It's like 40 kilos. And it wasn't the first time she'd tried, but she had always done it with that all or nothing mentality. So she really shared how she managed to shift into that something is better than nothing mindset, which is so much easier said than done.
I was making little changes and little tweaks. So I'd be adding more vegetables to like the foods I was eating. I wouldn't have just so much takeouts every single time. I'd cook a bit more, and I'd have more water, because I'd have like 15 cans of pop a night, and I know.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah.
So
I would just be so full.
Well, I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'd have a lot of fizzy drinks a night, and that's not even what I cut out completely to begin with. I reduced it down to like 10 and then 8 and then slowly reduced it down. So it was just making little changes initially that were personal to me, and then
I think that's important, though, because sometimes people feel like there's such a sharp contrast of like where they're at to like where they need to get to. But sometimes it's actually just going, if you're having 15, go down to 12 and then 10, and, you know, swap that out to have a little bit more water, or just have a couple more vegetables. You know, it doesn't always have to be subtracting away from your diet. It can be like, okay, maybe a few less cans of whatever, pop or soda, but more water, and, you know, maybe not less food, but more vegetables. And it can be like a good step to actually add more of the healthy stuff back into your life.
Yeah, definitely. And same with like chocolate. I'd be having loads of chocolate, like the big bars of chocolate, and then I'd reduce that down to less and less each time. And it was just something that I needed to have implemented, because whenever I'd try on my fat loss journey before and failed, it was because I'd try and cut everything out completely. And that was the chocolate, the fizzy drinks, everything. And I just kind of have the salad mindset where all I needed to have was salad to get to my goal. So that's what then led me to binge eating and stuff. So I thought this time around I'm going to make little changes, and that was what worked for me.
Yeah.
So.
What brought that on then? So, because it's quite a sharp, like, I would say like most people when they think about dieting have that maybe like salad mindset, as you said, which is like, I'm going on a diet, and me going on a diet means I'm cutting out everything I enjoy, and I'm just going to be super strict and have only salad or only this. I'm going to go on this really, you know, regimented diet, and maybe they can stick at it for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then willpower kind of runs out, and then you just kind of go, you cave once to something that you enjoy, and then you just eat all the food over the weekend. You gain 10 pounds, and it's like, what's the point? And you kind of just revert back. That's typically like what we see, and like what a lot of people do as well. Like, but to make that shift to just go, I'm just gonna have a little bit less, and a little bit more of this. Like, what brought that on, and what's like sort of inspired that shift and that change?
In my head, I knew that if you make it more of a lifestyle change, then it would work. But I didn't want to believe that. I thought, oh no, I can just cut everything out. And I think a lot to do with it is the cutting and bulking phases as well, because you see a lot of people cutting. Me now as well, I cut on certain phases, but I think I thought that would work for me at that stage where I was at, but it wouldn't. So I think, it's definitely some information out there where I thought I only needed salad. I only needed one extreme to the other to get to my goal.
Still shocked that she was saying she was drinking 15 cans of of pop or sort of diet drinks or whatever it was. But it does just show you like the temptation, I think, can really be to just go from like super extreme to super extreme again on the other side. So instead of having 15 cans going to zero, and sometimes just doing like a little bit less or a little bit more feels like, well, what's the point? But we know from looking at changing people's behavior over a long period of time, which is what you're looking to do when you're making a lifestyle change. Actually making those smaller changes over time make the habit so much more likely to stick. So going from 15 cans to 12 cans to 10 to 8, and then replacing that with a little bit of water over time, that feels so much easier to eventually get to 0 or 1 or 2 a day than to just go from 15 to 0. You can, of course, get those people who've got like the best willpower in the world, and you'll hear of them. Oh, I just did this and went all the way there, and that seems like appealing to a lot of people. But I would say for most people, including myself, just going from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0 typically does not work.
Yeah, and it's just making life harder than it needs to be. Like, this is already a hard thing to take on. If there's an easier way that your brain is going to fight you less along the way, why would you not choose the easier way, in my book? And I love the thing that was great about Elise is she's very real. She's like, yeah, I need chocolate, I need fizzy drinks, and you can still achieve incredible things without completely cutting them out. Like, she does still have those things in her life. She just has found an actual balance now. And I think for a lot of people, that's starting to find that balance is a really great journey where you're actually listening. She said in the clip, like, I know what my body needs now, something along those lines. And I think when you start doing a little bit of a change, you find yourself feeling better. Whereas if you go all or nothing, it's almost like you're expected that you have to feel better, and it's less of a like felt journey. That makes sense.
It's such a sharp contrast that, yeah, it's really difficult to know what's actually worked or what's working for me.
Yeah, and then you don't really know what balance is because all you know is that or that, and you where's the middle for the future? So it's also really important if you are planning to keep this weight off, which, let's face it, nobody wants to lose weight and then put it back on. Actually doing it this way means you're more likely to keep it off as well, because you're not going to revert back to the other extreme.
So next up, we've got Therese, and she lost an amazing 50 pounds or 22 kilos. And the big difference here is with her approach is she focused on just educating herself around nutrition instead of focusing on dieting. And typically when we think about dieting, it's less. How can I have less of this? How can I do maybe more cardio? It's this very dieting mindset. But instead, focusing on nutrition and becoming strong over skinny. And it made a real significant difference in her weight loss journey.
My first step was I'm going to try and get healthier. Not I'm going to try and lose weight. I'm just going to try and get healthier. So that was my first step. Because I said to myself, I wanted to make it sustainable and long lasting this time. I was tired of the, losing weight, gaining it back and losing weight. I was just fed up with that. And I said, I want to just be a healthier individual. I want everyday movement to feel a little bit better. I want to look after my nutrition. I want to learn a little bit more. So that was my step one, was just saying, I want to be healthier. And then how can I start to do that? And that's through your daily habits. Mm-hmm. And that's through things that people, again, often just brush under the carpet. Can I drink a little bit more water? I'm not going to start going to the gym right now, but can I go for a walk every day? Can I start getting more fruit and vegetables? And then that's kind of then what led me into my weight loss.
It sounds like you really focused on the foundations, which then gave you that success, like jumping off point.
Yeah, for sure. I think, well, how's the saying go? With weak foundations, everything's going to fall through. I guess I knew what the issue was the fact that I was going about things in the wrong way and just, taking information at face value from any person that I was seeing on the internet. It was time for me then to actually learn a little bit more about what my body needed, macronutrients, protein. It was a whole new world to navigate, but once you kind of lay those foundations a little bit better, that can set you up then for a successful journey. So that's why I'll always say to people, don't rush the beginning. If you're learning something new and your habits are getting better, you're sleeping better, you've got more energy, you're progressing.
I really love that. It's a kind of similar theme as Elise's tip, which is just take the pressure off, start by making those small changes. And also, if you have got a big goal, that can in itself, like Laura said, almost hold you back. So you're not saying, I'm going to go into this wanting to lose 50 pounds, but just, I'm going to start making healthier changes, can take the pressure off and make it easier to just do those healthy things, which will then in turn lead to the weight loss happening. So I think that's a really great mindset to have. And particularly wanted to talk about how Therese said there's so much misinformation out there. the importance of actually learning what your body needs.
Yeah, it is really important, and building strong foundations as well. Just really putting that side of things out of like, hey, I'm gonna start small. I'm gonna keep building. I mean, it's the sign I've got behind me here, which is get 1% better every day. It's looking for continuous improvement, and having that mindset is really having a growth mindset, and allows you to just keep developing and moving forward. It's like, hey, what's a little bit more than I can do right now? What's a little bit more than I can do right now? But making sure that it's still in alignment with the lifestyle that you want and the values that you have. And over time, you can build such solid foundations that not only help you lose weight, but make sure you sustain it for the rest of your life.
Amazing. So next up, we have got some practical tips on those little habits and foundations that can help you lose the weight, eat healthier, and also keep it off. And this clip is from another one of our incredible Body Smart graduates, Malin. So Malin came over from Sweden earlier in the year. She is such an inspiration. She is a busy mum. She's a teacher. And even with all that going on, she managed to lose 75 pounds, which is around 35 kilos. And she's a bit of a ninja, I'm not going to lie. She's very organized, and she puts that down to her success. So let's see what it was exactly, which habits helped her get that amazing result.
Over time, I have getting a habit of pretty much buying the same things every week and do different things with it. It's chicken, it's mince and stuff, and I do that on Fridays. And I'm always meal prepping on the weekend for the whole week.
And actually, meal prepping is something a lot of people love and a lot of people hate.
I love it.
Was it something before this that you kind of did anyway for family ease? Or?
Yeah, for family ease. But, as I told you before, my son has a sensory issue with eating. So I always had to make more dishes because he never ate the same as we did. And when you have this sensory issue, you always like to eat beige food like chicken nuggets, it's like
not the most nutrient dense.
No. And when I was tired, if you go back, this is what I ate when I was tired too, because I didn't want to prep for 2, 3, 4 different meals every time.
I think there's a lot of people listening that can resonate with that, of having to cook multiple meals. And especially when you think, I'm going to start eating healthy, you do immediately think, well, I'm going to have to eat different to the rest of the family. And it feels so overwhelming, doesn't it?
It is. But I pretty much do the same dishes as I always done, but just change some of the ingredients to lower calorie products. So pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually it wasn't a whole overhaul of your diet, more like small tweaks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what about any habits that you realized were holding you back or you needed to change?
Definitely the sleeping, because, with small children, you don't get to sleep and you have always a child in your bed on yourself. So I have changed a lot in my sleeping environment, and it took me a couple of years to get my husband on the train.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. But I usually begin work at early in the morning, so I get up around 4:30 or 5 every day. So I'm in bed at 9.
Yeah.
I am.
I don't blame you. I go to bed at 9 and I get up at 6:30.
Yeah. And I pretty much never watch TV in the weeks. If I watch TV, it's on the weekend. So I'm pretty much don't need Netflix or things like that, because I work out, I eat, I go to sleep pretty much when I work.
And when people hear that, they might think, oh, God, that sounds really boring.
It is.
But there's obviously a benefit or you wouldn't do it. So why do you feel like this shift is still so valuable and worthwhile?
Because I feel so much better physically and mentally, and I have pushed out things that doesn't matter to me, or people that doesn't matter to me, or who just took my energy instead.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really common as well, that we just do things because we just do things. And until you audit your life and say, do I actually get happiness from this? You just spend time. You just throw it away.
Yeah. before, just like house parties, barbecues. I never do that anymore because it took too much of my energy. I rarely do it. I rarely, yeah.
If you didn't know, I am a weight loss coach, but I've also lost over 50 pounds myself, so I do know how hard this journey can be. Jamie and I built the Body Smart method to cut through all the BS out there and bring together the latest weight loss science to fast track your weight loss. None of the frustrating trial and error that I battled with myself. Over 4,000 women have lost 15 to 60 pounds within 6 months with us, whilst also gaining healthy habits, skills, and knowledge, which mean they'll never have to diet again. Now, we know that you have thrown hundreds, if not thousands of dollars at this before and been disappointed endless times. So at Body Smart, we are so confident that you'll get results with our method. We have a full money back guarantee. To apply to work with one of our expert one-on-one coaches, go to bodysmartfitness.com.
I love the fact that Malin explained how she didn't have to overhaul all of her meals. Like, she still makes food that her family will eat, that the rest of the kids, even with sensory issues, will eat. And I think if we go back to some of those first clips where it was those beliefs that hold us back from even starting, it's, well, I've got kids, like, what am I going to cook for them? Or I've got someone in the household who has got sensory issues or has got other challenges. How am I going to do it with them? Malin's one example of how you can completely overcome that.
Yeah, when there's a will, there's a way. And Malin's a prime example of making it happen regardless of all the different circumstances that she's dealing with.
Oh, I did say this in the clip with Malin. Meal prep. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people feel like it's a bit, I don't know, like over-controlled and like you lose the spontaneity. But it is something that a lot of our clients say is the foundation for their success. Another one is Laura. So we're going to go back to Laura, who we heard earlier, and she's going to talk about how she uses meal prep and planning to make sure that she hits her goals.
One of the things that people often say is, I don't have the time. Like, I work a busy job, I'm studying, I have kids, I have no time. You were textbook one of those people with no time.
Technically had no time, but it's amazing when you are motivated where you find the time. I mean, we make time for what we want.
Yeah.
And I had to be honest with myself about that. I mean, your phone will tell you that every week. You want to know how much time you're on that screen? Or, you know, I make time to, like, watch that movie on Netflix I wanted, or The Great British Bake Off, you know.
Love that.
Right. You make
Yeah,
time for what
you
you
do.
want. You make time to see your friends or something like that. So I was like, where am I making time for what I want ultimately for my life?
And in terms of how much time you did need to find, just so people have an idea, was it hours a day like you were doing before?
Workout had to be in the morning because then I was going to work and then I had school at night. So it was working out in the morning, and then, like, to get the steps in, you just had to be creative. Like, all right, during my lunch break, I'm going to walk around, or I'm going to be really efficient walking through the office building. Or sometimes I would be the most inefficient in doing my laundry.
Oh, same.
Like,
That's
I'll
my
fold
top
one
tip.
shirt and I'll walk it into the bedroom and put it away. Then I come back and I'll fold that, and I just back and forth and stuff. And so trying to be creative that way. Or if I want to catch up with a friend, instead of, hey, let's meet for coffee, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
And so you're figuring out those creative ways. And then probably the other biggest shift was the time I took to meal prep. So that I would do usually like on a Sunday. And I would prep all my proteins. I wouldn't do like the cutesy little Instagram, here's all these like perfectly little portioned lunches and breakfasts. I would just do like, make my protein pancakes and freeze them, or do like my overnight oats with Greek yogurt, or all my proteins. And then that made my week go so much smoother. And then probably the other bit of time was the time I'd spent the night before. How's the next day going to look? So I didn't track what I ate. I planned what I would eat.
Yeah.
So that was like, it was like a little game with me and my fitness pal. It's like, all right, I know what my macros are supposed to be. I know what my calories are supposed to be. Let's see if I can make this work. Okay, so, and I'd always do the proteins first. So I'd figure out what proteins I wanted for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then it was like fill in the rest and just playing with the portions and stuff. And I'm like, all right, now I know what tomorrow is. Let me pack it. Let me get it ready. All right.
It's literally like you're saying the words of yesterday's podcast. It's just like, because we were talking about protein on the podcast,
How to get
get
your
it,
protein in.
and you've literally just recited it word for word. So
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, like
there you go. Yeah.
tangled sauce. You know what I mean?
I
It's
never
just-
struggled getting the protein. That I planned it first, and between like the meat, the Greek yogurt, a protein shake, and stuff like that, like it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
It's
if you
being
plan it in
organised, I
first.
guess.
If you plan it first, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just figured out that part first, and then the carbs are easy to fill in. It's like, ooh, now I get to choose. You know, what do I want? Yeah.
Yeah, no one struggles with that bit.
No, yeah. The night before, like I was telling you, like I'd pack my gym clothes, I'd pack my work clothes, I'd pack my meals. So at 5:30 in the morning when I was walking out the house, I don't have to even like my brain be
You
on.
can just execute the
I
day.
literally just pick it up and walk
I
out to the
feel
car.
like that's like there's definitely a hack for your health and wellness and food and diet, but it's actually just like a hack for just
It's a hack
being
for
suc-
life.
Yeah, for life. It really is.
Yeah.
Just like spending like 15 minutes the day before preparing for the next day, looking over your calendar, your to-do list,
Yeah.
having everything out ready. You can save all the decisions
Right.
for the
Yeah.
larger tasks of life.
So many golden nuggets in this, isn't it? Which is, Laura really diving into the fact that, like, how you spend your time is really a matter of priorities, and people hate that. Like, anytime I say that on social media, I get so much backlash because people are like, you don't get it. I have this, but you really can, like that. We've worked with the busiest people in the world. Like, I get to points where I'm doing 80, 90-hour weeks, and sometimes I have to just be like, if things aren't going in the direction I want, I have to audit my time. And I've done this with a few clients where we will literally break down 7 days a week and look at every half an hour, every 30 minutes around where it's being spent, and you will be shocked. Like, I've only had to do that for a handful of clients because we typically can find time. But for those people who are extremely busy, you go through this audit of looking at every 30 minutes over a 7-day week, and you realize there's a lot of time that you can find. And that is where the opportunities lies to start prioritizing your health, if it's important to you. And I'm sure if you listen to this podcast, it is. But again, that's where we spend our time, as a matter of priorities.
Yeah, and also what you do with that time, because I often think people have it in their head that you've got to find the time to do the workout. But like what Laura just said there is key. It's the planning. Actually, it opens up all this other time, because if you plan your meals for the week on a Sunday, let's say, you're not having to find 20 minutes every day to think about what you're eating. You've just done it. So it seems like you've got to find this big chunk of time, but in reality, you're saving yourself time over the week.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, there's a common theme throughout that clip, which is just like preparation. Preparation is key. Whether it's, hey, like, eating more protein in my diet, something really new now, and it feels really new and it takes up a lot of decisions. But so meal preps all the protein at the start of the week because that was the hardest thing. Plans that in first, and then it makes nutrition easy for the week. Packs a bag the night before means I just have to get up and go into autopilot when I'm probably feeling a little bit demotivated and tired and sluggish when I get up. It just it reduces the friction to take the actions that you actually want.
Yeah, and it's very practical, but it's actually a little bit of a mindset hack as well, because if you've already done the thinking and the planning, your brain's already kind of in that vibe. It's doing that thing. It's on that path. So when you want to implement that plan, there's less resistance. So everything that we're talking about is practical, but also mindset, which is a great segue into coming back to something else that Therese said in our episode with her. She's actually such an inspiration when it comes to the mindset change that she made. And it blew me away, actually. She's quite young. She's like in her 20s, and she is on it. Like, her mindset is solid. The work she's done is fantastic. So if you haven't listened to that episode already, definitely go back and listen to it. But we thought we wanted to share something a bit more around the gym. We talked a lot about like nutrition and planning and prep. And Therese had some great advice for how you can switch your mindset around the gym.
The language in which you use, I think it's another thing that's so brushed under the carpet. It matters, like what you're telling yourself. Like you said there, either I will do this, or I might go to the gym today. That usually means that you're not going to go to the gym today. I might set aside some time on a Sunday to do my meal prep. Usually means you're not going to do it.
Otherwise, you just say, I will do it.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think that matters because you're saying it with certainty. And I think what kind of ties in with that is get a plan in place. Stop leaving things up to chance. Stop leaving, your steps to the end of the day when you could have had them done for 30 minutes in the morning, and get uncomfortable doing certain things. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. You're going to have to not like things, I think, as well. It can be easy, especially with my page. I have such a positive aspect on health and fitness and mindset, but you also have to go through hard times. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to set boundaries for yourself. You have to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, and everybody does, because it's not going to be easy. So get a plan in place for when you're going to do the things in which you said you're going to do, and get the hard things done at the start of the day. That's what I always say. So if there's something you really don't want to do, try and get it done first thing.
It's a big what's the saying? Go eat the frog. No?
Is it eat the frog?
I'm pretty sure it's eat the frog, isn't it?
Might be.
Yeah, it's basically where it's just like get the hard.
Weird, but okay.
I don't know why. It's because maybe psyching on me now. It's basically where you get the hardest task of the day done at the start of the day. So you just kind of put it first. And if that's like a hard workout or something else, it's also related to anything like task management wise as well.
Yeah.
Great tips.
Yeah, but it's building that mentality, like that strong mentality though as well. Do you know, doing those things. I think most of this journey is your mindset, because being in the gym for an hour or going for a walk, it's not really that hard. Of course, depending on what type of training you're doing, it's not overly like challenging when you're there. It's the thought of doing it that's nearly worse. Do you know what I mean? So if it's something that's really playing in your mind and you don't want to do it, just get it done first thing in the morning, and then that's it out of the way.
The it's an old Star Wars Yoda saying. It's like, I'm showing my age here because it's like probably one of the first or second ones that come out in like the whenever. The guy is trying to do something and he's like, I can't do it. I'm trying my hard. And he's like, basically says, there is no try. It's either do or do not.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it. It's like when people say like, I'm going to try to do something, you're almost giving yourself permission that there's a reason that you may not do it. And when it's something like, and don't get me wrong, life does happen, but sometimes you do just need to have that like commitment of like, I'm going to do my workouts this week. I'm going to hit my steps this week. Like there's no doubt in your mind of like, well, I might get my steps on. I'm going to try and hit my step goal today. It's like, are you or are you not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just had to throw Yoda in there, didn't I? It is a great sort of saying for life. Like there is no try. There's either just do or do not. And I think that's such a place that so many people get themselves to, where it's just like, I'm just going to try. And sometimes you basically just, if the stars align, you can just like will the outcome that you want into existence. And that isn't how it works. You know, having a plan and committing to it and saying, I'm going to get this done regardless, you know, is a much stronger, more resilient mindset to go into achieving your goals.
Yeah, and one tip I would say for that actually is, if you keep saying, oh, I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to try to do that, it might be because the goals you're setting yourself are too big. And so actually, if you bring that down to a level where you feel comfortable to say, I am going to do X, Y, Z, you start to build that mindset of saying you're going to do something and doing it, rather than setting yourself these lofty goals that you can try and do, but you actually don't believe you can. So that would be my little extra nugget to follow on the back of those words of wisdom from Therese. And one of the things that people really struggle with when it comes to getting healthy, losing weight, is starting exercise. And it can be one of the things where it's like, oh, I'm going to try a workout class, or I'm going to try this, but it can all feel a bit overwhelming and intimidating. And if you look at Elise now, you would not believe that she started feeling out the same way that you might be if you're listening to this today, because she is super strong, super fit. But she started in that exact same place. So let's hear how she got over that intimidation.
I originally started doing home workouts because I wasn't confident enough. And as I was losing the weight, I'd start with doing a spin class at the gym. And it was a virtual spin class. And I only done it because I knew it would just be me. And there would be another person on occasion. If not them, then it would just be me. So I didn't really kind of mind that other person being there. And that kind of helped a bit. And each time I'd go to that spinning class, I'd like walk around the gym and then just leave. And I'd just like assess where all the equipment was, where it was all positioned. And then there was one time after the spinning class where I thought, okay, I'm just going to do a quick workout in the gym. So I went up, I had my workout ready that I'd planned so that there could be no walking around switching. I had backup workouts as well in case that equipment was free. Taken, sorry. Yeah. I had my headphones on loud. I had like a cute gym outfit on that I felt confident in. And then I just done a workout in there and thought, you know what, this isn't too bad. And then the second time I went in as well, I thought, okay, I'm going to try and go on the squat rack. Fold. So I went on the squat rack, and then this girl came over and was like, oh, do you want me to spot you? And I was like, yes, please. So I was like really shy. And then I just thought from that comment, it's not as bad as I'm thinking. We all start somewhere. Everyone in this gym has started somewhere. So
I love that was your first interaction as well, as someone just really being genuine and helpful. Because that's what most people are like. If they are making the effort to go to the gym for themselves, like you said, they get it. But also, they're probably trying to be a better person in more than one way. So most people in the gym are actually quite nice.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think it's really easy to feel intimidated because it's unusual, or like it's a different space to what you're used to if you're new. But when you realise they're just humans, it's not that bad.
Exactly. And they've been in exactly the same position starting from day one. So.
Oh, high five to that girl.
So, and then I just thought as well, like, if anyone does say anything or judge me in any way or kind of feel any way about me being here, then that's an issue with them. That's not an issue with me.
Yeah. I love this clip from Elise, mainly because it's a strategy I've done with so many of my clients in the past, which is they've never stepped foot in the gym, like ever. And the idea of doing that is terrifying. But then at home, we've learned to squat, lunge, do like kneeling push-ups. They've bought some dumbbells, overhead press, chest press. So they've literally learned how to train a whole body under resistance. And then it's like, well, now you feel confident doing those movements. Let's just go and do them in a different environment. And that's like taking a step into the gym and doing those same exercises. It's just somewhere else. So yeah, I think home workouts and really building up your confidence with some of these exercises at home can be a really great first step before maybe taking a step into the gym if it feels like it's too much.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you don't even need to actually go to a gym ever if you don't want to. So we've got clients who just don't ever get to that stage, or it's not practical for them to get out to a gym, like time-wise, and they can still get amazing results. Yes, you're going to need to invest in some equipment, but hey, if you were going to pay for a gym membership, it's going to work out about the same or probably less. So if that is holding you back from starting, don't let it, because that's not a good enough excuse in our book, I'm afraid. Starting exercise is one of the big struggles that we hear time and time again when it comes to getting healthy and staying healthy as well, like people staying in that consistent routine of exercise. The other big one, I think they would be two contenders for the top spot actually, would be cravings and like giving up food you love. The idea of that when you're starting on a weight loss journey of like, how am I going to live a life without chocolate? Well, you don't have to, so good news. But B, there are strategies that we teach our clients, and Malin shared how she deals with her kryptonite, which is chocolate, in this clip.
But the things that I like and are difficult to not eat as much of is chocolate. Yeah.
So do you still enjoy chocolate and have it regularly? Or?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And that's the things I can overconsume.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you just have to be mindful then with your portions.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will have a similar one.
For some people it's wine, crisp chips, but for me it's chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that? If it's been one of those long, stressful days, you've had a bad night's sleep, those are the days where the chocolate might be calling your name.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Either I just go for a small amount, or I just think about it really. Is this really what I want? Or is just a coping mechanism for something else? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Before you started this journey, was that the kind of rational conversation you'd have in your head about food, or would you just go for it?
I just went for it. Yeah.
And is there other internal discussions that you think are now commonplace like that? Like, do I really want this? Is it going to help? What would those be?
It's more, is this a healthy decision for me at this moment? Am I stressed? Because I stress it. When I'm stressed, like at work, I can just grab something. And I'm trying to stay out of those things, or reason with myself. Am I eating just because I'm stressed? Yes, no. Why am I stressed? Just leave it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It takes time.
Or drink water.
Yeah. Oh, I actually love having just like a herbal tea or something. 'Cause it's something to go and do, like to get away from the
Brush
stress.
my teeth.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
This clip actually just reminded me, the other day when we were on a team call and I was like, I can't put my camera on because the doctor's just made me cry. I'm too stressed. I ate 4 Kit Kats after that.
Yeah.
Because this stress chocolate thing is real. Like, if that's a habit that you had for years and years and years, it just takes something. Like, that was a very stressful moment for me. I don't cry very often from someone being mean, but it happened and it's still there. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, I could never be, that restrained around chocolate. Nobody's ever perfect, like forevermore. You always have these moments of weakness, and that's okay. But it's 90% of the time, I don't turn to the chocolate, I turn to the herbal tea.
Yeah, and it's I think it's having the mindset as well to not judge yourself too harshly in those moments, especially if it doesn't happen all the time anymore. You have got better control over it, and having other strategies and many other moments that can help. So yeah, old habits do really die hard, and just because sometimes an old habit creeps in doesn't mean that you're a failure or you've messed up. It just means you're human, and being able to just take that on board and be like, hey, okay, that happened, and I'm just going to move on and get back on track and keep taking those steps forward.
Yeah, and also can be a nice reminder of like, hey, I used to deal with stress like this every time. Now it's once in a blue moon. And that can be a win in itself. So if you are starting out and you're seeing your behavior very slowly change, it can feel like nothing's really happening. But when you look back at how you used to deal with situations, it can really remind you how far you've come. This one's a little bit different because it's not actually about losing weight or how our guest got to that 50 pounds, but it's about where you are right now. If you're listening to this and you are wanting to start your weight loss journey or just starting out, there's a good chance you're in the same boat as Coach Anna and myself, and you are not maybe living in the moment. You're not capturing the happy moments in your life. You're avoiding the camera. And it's something that, if you listen to the clip, both of us look back and regret. So yes, life can get better. Yes, you can make those changes, but your life is still happening right now. So take the pictures.
I know when we've asked about photos of you when you were 50 pounds.
Yeah, I have none.
Yeah, you have like a handful
got
of that.
Yeah.
And is this the same for yourself at all, Anna?
It is the exact same. The ones that I have, I had to, and that was when I'd lost the weight and I actually wanted to finally like post a transformation. I didn't have any. So I had to ask like friends and family, like, did you catch me in a picture somewhere?
Yeah.
And I was able to like find some that they'd caught me in or like just they took and had that they never like really shared with me. But that's the only
Or I would
had.
just have pictures of like a certain angle that I felt like I looked okay, or like just my face.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, but like actual body ones, they were really didn't have any.
And why? For like both you guys, like was that?
Well, one, because we didn't have iPhones with endless storage on.
Right.
And two, because I wouldn't have saved or kept any pictures where I didn't like what I looked like. Like, why would you? Or just delete that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a memorable time or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, because I don't have any.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
I don't have a single picture with my daughter that first year.
Oh,
I have one where I'm holding her, like kind of from here. Don't have a single picture, which is really sad. So if anyone's listening out there, take the pictures.
take the damn pictures. Yeah.
Take the damn pictures, because that's something I really regret. And I guess if I could go back in time, like I won't ever be able to give her that, but I hope to teach her, not the same thing.
I'm going to cry. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Watching that clip, Stacey, it really does remind me that you've lost 50 pounds and you've had your own weight loss journey like so many of our clients. So what are your top tips to anyone listening?
Yeah, and actually, so many people don't know. So I should probably talk about it more. I was chatting to one of our Body Smart grads a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, "I always forget," and I'm like, "What? Who is she to tell me what to do? She doesn't know." And then she was like, "Oh, you do know." My top tip actually is just to be more realistic with your timescales. The women that we've featured today, they all lost a huge amount of weight, and none of them were in like 2-3 months. All of them were over a longer period of time. And that is why they can all say, it wasn't as hard as they thought it was going to be. It has stuck. The weight is still off. They've probably, like, if you're listening, you've probably tried 20, 30, 40 different diets, but they've all been short-term things, which are kind of like a sprint rather than a marathon. And actually taking the pressure off a little bit, which some of them touched on in those clips, allows you to just focus on changes that last. And I personally, when I lost, I was about 55 pounds actually, I didn't have a goal. So it's a bit like Laura in that sense. I didn't really have like an end number that I wanted to get to. I just knew that I wasn't happy where I was. And it took the pressure off because I am a bit of a perfectionist and I don't like messing up and failing. And so not having something that I was trying to achieve and therefore could fail really, really helped me. That actually goes against what we always tell our clients, because we tell them to set smart goals. But it's maybe just not having a set deadline and a set number. I was still doing the things, I just didn't have that pressure on myself.
Yeah, I think it can be extremely relatable. I would say like almost all of our clients are perfectionists. Just like the way I'm a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. And you are, Stacey, but I think you really do have to reframe how you think about your health, because you just can't be perfect every day as much as we might want to be. You know, life just has way too many curveballs. And yeah, as you said, just like not setting too harsh of a deadlines, having that continuous improvement mindset and just taking those small steps really is what leads to a sustainable change and a lifestyle change. I think that's like, it sounds a bit woo sometimes when people say that, like, oh, I'm going to make a lifestyle change. It's like, what the hell does that even mean? But a lifestyle change doesn't happen in 6 to 12 weeks. It happens over months and a couple of years, where you can say like, hey, I'm just a healthy person. I'm somebody that prioritizes eating healthy and getting great sleep and moving my body on a regular basis. You know, it takes time for you to solidify those habits and routines in your own mind, and then also for other people like friends and family to just be like, oh, Stacey is a person who eats well and trains and